Hello and welcome Matrix users. Today's session we'll be discussing Coming Soon, which is a new status that will be added to your Matrix system. Coming Soon status will have the same functionality as any other status within Matrix. You can search by it, add it to your hot sheet, and it's also available under Market Watch. It's a separate category, and it's also under My Listings. There's My Coming Soon listings, My Office Coming Soon listings, and My Firm Coming Soon listings. And as you can see over in the search widget, it's available as an option to search by over here as well. And it's available in all property types. I think the biggest change is, how do I get a Coming Soon listing into Matrix? Well, you're going to follow through just like adding any listings. You're going to go up to Add Edit, select Add a New, and select the property category you want to use. We're going to start off with single family. We're going to select Start with a blank listing. And the first thing you notice, the big change right here is the status button, or the status tab. I shouldn't say button, it's a tab, that's on the listing input form with three options: incomplete, coming soon, and active. You'll also notice down here at the button bar at the bottom, there is no button to save as incomplete. That functionality has been changed so that you have to select the incomplete status, fill out the information until you're satisfied that you want to come back later and do some more, and click Submit Listing. This will save it as incomplete, and then you can come back and edit it again later. Another change to the incomplete form is that when you do save it incomplete, if you've added a listing contract date and then you come back in to finish the incomplete listing later, the listing contract date will be blanked out. This is just to prevent a person from saving the listing as incomplete with a listing date on there and then coming back 10 days later and submitting the listing as an active listing with the wrong listing contract date in there. So it'll blank it out, so you have to fill it in again. When you go to add a listing as coming soon or active, and you haven't completed the listing contract date, you get a validation error so that you'll have to go back in and fill it out. Okay, now we have a coming soon status. We'll go over that in a second. And then active status. Active and coming soon both need to have all required fields completed before you can submit it, either way. The reason a coming soon listing needs to be completed with all required fields is that after the time frame that you've designated in the expected active date, and it changes to active, it needs to have all the required fields. So that's the reasoning behind having coming soon with all the required fields in there. And active is just exactly what it says is active. You can submit a listing active right away if you want to, then you have to go back in and add the photos and the attachments later on. But it will become live the minute you hit active. All right, we've covered all three. So now we're going to go back over to coming soon, which is the real reason we're here. Now with the coming soon, we had to add an additional field. And that additional field is called expected active date. And it's located over here to the right. We kind of stuck it over to the right out of the way because it's only needed for a coming soon listing, so we didn't want you to feel that you had to enter it every time you put in a listing. You don't. You only need it for coming soon. All right, and there are a few rules that you have to go over with the expected active date. And some of those input rules are as follows. And you'll want to listen closely. The expected active date must be greater than the list date, but less than the expiration date. Okay, you get that? The expected active date must be greater than the listing contract date, but less than the expiration date. The expected active date can be no more than 30 days greater than the list date. And we'll go over this when we enter a listing. Okay? The days on market will calculate from the expected active date, not the list date. Okay? So we're going to say that one more time, and I'll go through it. The expected active date must be greater than the list date, but less than the expiration date, and can be no more than 30 days greater than the list date. Days on market will calculate from the expected active date, not the listing contract date. And once a coming soon listing is made active, either manually or when the expected active date reaches its maturity, the expected active date can no longer be modified once it's in the active status. Okay? And the expected active date will be displayed on agent reports, but only when it's coming soon. Excuse me, I apologize for that. Okay, let's get into adding a listing. And I'm going to go out of this one. I'm going to cancel this input And I'm going to go to an incomplete listing that I have already started, just for the sake of time, so I don't have to sit here and fill out every field for you. And we'll cancel that. And we're going to go back into drop down here. Now here I have a single family already started. Once I've saved it as incomplete, I can come back here into the single family form, and I can now select coming soon, because that's what I want to do. I want to make it a coming soon listing. So right off the bat, I'm going to validate it just to see what else I have to fill out. And look at that, I've got some errors on the page, and what I have to fill out is the expected active date, the expiration date, and the listing contract date. And if you remember when I told you that the listing contract date would be blanked out when I came back in to finish editing an incomplete listing, there you go. Excuse me, apologize. All right, the listing contract, let's go back in and go to listing, syndication, and we'll complete the information that we need to here, following the rules. So I'm going to enter a listing, and we're going to use today's date for the listing contract date, the expiration date. I'm going to go out a few months, and we'll say May 31st, click OK. And now the expected active date. Remember the rules. It's going to be greater than the listing contract date, so I couldn't put 125 in here. I'd have to put in at least 126, 2018, and I can put in no more than 30 days out. So I'm going to select my calendar, and I'm going to go January 25th, and I want at least 30 days, so I'm going to go to the 24th, because January has 31, so it's not actually 30 days to the 25th. I got to go to the 24th and select OK. So to verify if that follows the rules, I'm going to come down here and click Validate again. Click on Validate. Everything looks good. No errors. I can now go ahead and make sure I want to submit it as a coming soon listing. But what I want to make sure is, did I select that status? And I'm pretty sure I did. But if you ever have to go back, just click on the Status tab, and there it is, coming soon. And again, if you want to validate one more time, just to be sure there are no errors on the input form, there you go. We're all set. So now we're going to go ahead and submit the listing as coming soon. And there's the number 1179771. If we want to go look at that listing, you can bring it up on the page in a full report. And there you see that it says coming soon on the status at the top. And if we want to see the expected active date, you'll go down here, and it's between list date and expiration date. There you see the expected active date. And remember, the expected active date will only be visible when the listing is in the coming soon status. So once it goes to coming soon, the only place you can see the expected active date is if you go in to edit the listing. You can see it in there. It'll be locked in there because you can't edit it once the listing's gone live. All right? So the listing will go live automatically, so that when you look at that listing on 2/25, it will become an active listing. And this information will also all show up under the history. So if you want to look at the history for that particular property, and this is probably a bad one to use because I've entered this one in multiple times, and now it's stalling for me. There it is. So you can look down here and see how that it's in the history for any of the properties that you've created for that listing. All right. Once the listing is coming soon, and let's say you have it set for 40 days off, your next question may be, well, my client decided they wanted to go early. They got all their projects done that they wanted to. The house is looking great, so you want it to go live now. Well, you can do that. All you have to do is go in and edit the listing, click on the single family, and at this point, you can select active. And once you select active and click submit, it should automatically change the expected active date to the current date, because that's when it's going to start calculating days on market from, and click submit listing. So come back in here, click active, and submit listing. I'm not going to do that right now, but that's what you wind up doing if you want to make it active. You could also go back into coming soon and say, okay, I want to edit it because they're telling me that a week later they're going to be ready. Okay, so instead of 2/24, I'm going to change the expected active date to 2/17, and I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to validate, and it allowed me to make that change because it's still within the 30 days, and it's still within the framework of the rules for the expected active date. It's greater than the listing contract date, it's less than the expiration date, and it's no greater than 30 days past the listing contract date. So if I wanted to submit that as a change, I could do that so the listing would go live automatically without me touching it on 217. But I'm just going to cancel the input, and I'm going to let it stay as is. And that's pretty much the nuts and bolts of how to add a coming soon listing to Matrix. If you have any questions, by all means, give tech support a call, 401-785-9898, and select option 3. I'm sure they can help walk you through the process. It's pretty simple, and I think you should be able to take care of it. You have a great day, and thank you very much for listening to Coming Soon.